is. And as I know this is true, I know that this presence that we call God is good. And as all there is God and it is good, then I know that each and every person who's hearing the sound of my voice right here and right now is blessed by this internal, external presence that we call God the good. That it is motivating, inspiring, uplifting, feeding, embracing, and calling forth the power within each person who hears my voice right here and right now. That there is an internal recognition of the allness of God that is showing up right here, right now, as us. God is and we are. And so knowing that this is true, I know that I am blessed, that we are blessed, and that our lives are blessed. I let go of the lie or any story that there's something separate from us than God. And I allow myself to steep in the truth of good. I anticipate this good, I see this good, I live from this good, and I call it done. And so it is, amen.
And so it is, amen. So it is. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I feel empowered by that, right? Don't you feel that little zippity-doo-dah feeling?
Yes, can do all things.
Right, exactly. Now, I know you really appreciated this book because you sent me an email and you talked about what a great resource it is.
Right, because as a minister, you know, we're always looking for resource information, resource material, because we're always teaching. And so when I saw this and the table of contents is alphabetized, and you've got any number of titles, so you've got abundance, you cover grace, intelligence, joy, order, power, prosperity, so all these different categories.
And qualities of God.
Absolutely.
And qualities of being that they are naturally within us. And then so as you go through the Dr. Bonnie's book and you read it, I love how you give us an affirmation for each, there's sections, affirmations for them, and you really describe the qualities. Like I was reading over joy, and you know, in the human experience, people don't necessarily go through joy, but you made it so clear about what joy was and how it's natural for us to be joyful. And you gave some affirmations around it. I know you had a comment you were going to make.
Right, yeah, I liked a number of chapters, but one on you, which is also transformation and transmutation. And Reverend Bonnie, you say, to be made new means to exorcise old belief structures that can wail and gnash their teeth as they leave the body. So, and I found that fascinating, and maybe you can talk about that and expand on that just a bit.
Yeah.
Sure. One of the, some teachers in New Thought teach that since all is good, therefore everything feels good. And what my experience is as the old thoughts that don't serve me leave my body, that they don't necessarily feel good. I can feel extraordinarily vulnerable. I can feel very raw. I can have a lot of discomfort. And what I've come to appreciate is that living outside of the comfort zone means we're not comfortable. So as we have the insight and the recognition that there's more God to be lived through us, and we start living that life, it doesn't always feel good, although life itself is incredibly good and it demonstrates the good through us. So being made new is an uncomfortable process, can be an uncomfortable process, and that's why most people choose not to do it.
Oh, yeah, you know, they just resist it, right? Because you have to look at old patterns, you have to be willing to, you know, there's an expression that I heard and I find to be true, the way out is through. The way out is through. And so many times we resist, like say we're grieving, we resist it. You know, we resist the process because it feels so stinky. Right. You know, and there's resistance rather than the willingness to step forward. And I tell you, these books are just spectacular that you've written. Such wonderful spiritual food. Before the commercial, you said that you were a big fan of spiritual practice, and you noted for us 6 particular ways. Could you tell the viewing audience again what those 6 ways are?
Sure. All major world religions teach that there are 6 spiritual practices, and they're prayer, meditation, contemplation, tithing, although I like to call it generosity because it's more than money. It also includes kindness and other forms of generosity. Study, and then lastly, Sangha or community.
Community. Okay, so for our viewing audience, because this is an internet show, so it is around the world. For our viewing audience who may not have a new thought or a practical spiritual community near them, what would you advise them to do?
I think it's fabulous. And I'll tell you why I think it's fabulous is because that is, again, a belief in absence being demonstrated. And so since God is all there is and God is presence, then what I know for sure is when someone desires to experience spirit in community, then that community is provided for them or to them. And it can come and show up in the form of the internet. It can show up by meeting someone in a coffee shop and having a conversation and finding out that they too share similar beliefs, and then starting a study group. I mean, the ways that God shows up is unlimited. It is unlimited. It's infinite. The way it shows up is infinite. So having the intent, the desire, doing affirmative prayer, sitting in the feeling tone of community, it will demonstrate itself and bring it forward.
Ooh,
Okay.
fantastic. That's fantastic. So you know what? We just have just a little bit of commercials left. We're almost finished with our commercial breaks. So let's take a quick break for commercials. And then when we come back, I want to talk about the idea of the light of God, where you spoke of having direct experience. So don't go far, because we'll be back in just a moment or two with Dr. Bonnie Barnard talking to us about qualities of God and qualities of being. Stay with us for Spirituality Rocks.
Peacefully, joyfully, I am divinely guided. Peacefully, joyfully, I follow my inner guidance. Peacefully, joyfully, I am
YesWeCare.net is a 501c3 charity that provides help to veterans and their families. Please visit YesWeCare.net and donate in any way you can by purchasing our beautiful framed prints or relaxation CDs and DVDs, even smooth jazz CDs. YesWeCare.net. Remember, our troops are on their way home. They need all the support they can get. YesWeCare.net.
This is Beth.
Hi.
Oh, congratulations. When are you due?
I'm not pregnant.
Oh, look at that. Excuse me.
You're totally thin.
You look very sexy.
For life's bleachable moments, all it takes is 3/4 of a cup.
I am Tom Mealy for the Harrison Law Group, and I have been telling you for years that getting involved in an automobile accident is no joke. This is what we do. We're not new at this game. If you've been involved in an accident of any kind, and you go to a law firm that says you have no case, it's simple. It's because they can't do it and they don't get it. You need to call us directly at 1-800-INJURY-LAW.
Are you planning an event and want to include entertainment, but you're not sure where to turn? Act1Entertainment.net has provided over 1,500 events with quality, affordable live entertainment at private parties, corporate affairs, festivals, bike rallies, and more. Act 1 will fit into your budget. They're friendly, reliable, and do all the legwork for you. They take all major credit cards. Log on to Act1Entertainment.net for a free, no-obligation price quote or call 631-758-3505 for a brochure. You'll be happy you did.
Dad, where do babies come from?
Well, there's Dad's big, shiny rocket ship. That's right, it's filled with babies of all kinds. And when the shiny rocket ship penetrates, Mommy and Dad goes, and when the time is just right, there's a space launch.
All systems go.
Babies of all kinds. Released all over the place. Yeah, Africa. Mommy's Babylandia. That's right, it's filled with babies. After an amazing 9 months, babies. And that, son, is where babies come from.
But Jake said babies come from
Planet Babylandia.
You go,
play with us on the bus.
Wheels on the bus
Go round and round, round and round, round and round. Wheels on the bus go round and round, all through the town.
Peacefully, joyfully, I am divinely guided. Peacefully, joyfully.
Welcome back to Spirituality Rocks. I'm your host, Janine Burns, in the studio with Saba Mchunguzi, and we have with us on Skype Dr. Bonnie Barnard, the author of Qualities of God, Qualities of Being, a resource manual for the soul, and also the other book, A Year of Good, A Year of God, a resource manual for the mystic in training. She also is the author of Affirmative Prayer, Becoming Your Prayer Answered. So it was 3 years. You were wondering about this.
Right. Yeah. So Reverend Bonnie mentioned that she was in silence for 3 years, and then after she came out of that 3 years, she wrote 4 books. I mean, is that correct? And what led you to do it?
Was that the pendulum swing effect?
Well, in 2004 and 5, I wrote a book called Forgive Your Way to Freedom, and I traveled the country and I taught how to forgive. And I did it inside of corporations. I did it in doctor's offices. I did it in New Thought churches. And I did the United States and Canada for 18 months. And then when I was done, I felt called to go deep, deep, deep inside. And so I did. And it was a soul calling. And I thought that it would last a year, and that was my intent. And after a year, it was clear that I wasn't done. And so I entered year 2, and then I entered year 3. And by the time I entered year 3, I had made the decision that if I was to be a contemplative the rest of my life, I would do that. That I would do whatever was mine to do. I had surrendered to that level. And at the end of year 3, I went to a silent Buddhist retreat. And I was sitting on my meditation pillow right in the middle of the retreat center. And as we were sitting, we were supposed to say in our mind, sitting, 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 sitting. You know how the Buddhists speak in their mind what they're doing. So I was sitting on the pillow doing sitting, 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 sitting. And this big voice welled up within my being that said, "You're done, go out and live." And I got up off my meditation pillow and walked out of the room. And went to the street where my car was parked, and there was a big, huge, gigantic parade going on. So I stood on the side of the street in a parade and watched all these colors and noises and lights. And it took probably about 8 months of being extraordinarily wobbly and very, very socially uncomfortable before I came back to a place that, I was able to really connect well again with others.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then out of that space, came all these books.
Yes.
That's great. I want to touch on, we're almost done with our hour. It goes so fast, doesn't it?
Wow.
Jeez. You talk in the book on page 74, qualities of God, qualities of being. And one of the qualities of God that you refer to here is light. And I've been noticing that when I look on the internet and if you go on Facebook, and I invite the viewing audience to check us out, we have a webpage, Spirituality Rocks, and we a Facebook page, so please like it because on Facebook. And you'll see that people post on it about the experiences of light. And everywhere I'm turning now, people are talking about light, visualizing light as the energy and presence and power of God, and that when you do so, you are bringing forth that active quality and active awareness. And you talk about your distinct experience of light. What was that?
Yeah, there's part of the spiritual journey where we are doing a lot of heavy lifting on our end, and we're inviting forth the presence, and we're doing, a lot of spiritual practice, and we're doing meditations like you're talking about, where we're calling forth light or visualizing light. And then there's a point where our journey shifts and we surrender, and then we are taught by the presence itself. So to me, there's kind of like a before and an after. There's like a distinction. So I had my light experience not as a before where I was doing practice to get there. It came to me. And it came to me in my sleep, and I probably went this is when I was in silence, I probably went for 6 or 7 months where I would lay down to go to sleep, and all I would see is just the brightest light behind my eyes, and I couldn't sleep at night. But what comes with that light is an intelligence. Light is the intelligence of God. It's an energy, and it teaches you. So it came and it provided all kinds of teachings for me, and people that I have met that have been initiated by the light, they go on to trust that God is all there is. I mean, it's like a pivotal initiation in the recognition that God is all there is.
And people can actually consciously do this. I mean, there's a website called thestarlink.net, where they have you visualize a star. Or just visualize light, and in your meditation practice to do that. So yeah, it's wonderful. Well, I'll tell you what, we're winding down here. And can you believe the hour has gone by so quickly? We need more time. We need more time. Dr. Bonnie Barnard, I bless you, I praise you, I appreciate you. I just love you. I love your work. I'm so excited that you were able to join us on Spirituality Rocks. And we encourage the viewing audience to check you out at bonniebarnard.com. That is BonnieBarnard.com. And the books are Quality of God, Quality of Being, and we have the other book here that's called Affirmative Prayers, Becoming Your Prayer Answered. And then we have A Year of Good, A Year of God, Daily Lessons for the Mystic in Training. So thank you so much for joining us today on Spirituality Rocks, Dr. Bonnie Barnard.
Send you both love.
Thank you so much.
God bless. Great meeting
Thank you. And I want to tell the viewing audience next week what's coming up. I'll be at the Sacred Awakenings Conference, and that is in Simpsonwood. It's in Atlanta, Georgia. I'll be there all next week while I'm having renovations at my house, so I'm glad I'll be there while they're doing their thing there. And it's wonderful. It's called Sacred Awakenings, Pray and Play in Divine Nature. Oh my gosh. Dr. Barbara King, David Auld, Mark Anthony Lord, the list goes on and on. Dr. Carol Lawson, Dr. Bill Little, Dr. Marilyn Hall, Angelo Pizzello, Kim Yalda, the list just goes on and on.
Fantastic.
Wah is going to be there with us. Reverend Renee Laboa, who was on the show, is going to be there. So it's going to be Edwin Gaines is going to be with us, a spectacular conference. Yeah, it's going to be great.
Very high-powered, I see.
High-powered conference, yeah. So you still can go, just go to newthought.org, and you can check it out. And next week, our guest is going to be Karen Giganti, Reverend Karen Giganti, and Reverend Kathy Caputo. They're going to have Dr. Harry Morgan Moses as their special guest. The following week, I have Janet Grace Nelson. She's a spiritual coach, will be on the show. And then the following week, it's Judith Burdick, who wrote a documentary on transforming laws. So we've got some juicy shows coming up. Thank you, Reverend Saba Munchunguzi, for being with us today
All
on
right,
Spirituality
right.
Rocks. Always a pleasure to
always
be
great
with you.
being here.
Tell your friends about our show and like us on Facebook. And we'll see you next week on the next episode of Spirituality Rocks.